Today we're continuing on with Hercules' 11th labor, where he must retrieve the golden apples of the Hesperides. This is one of the more elaborate labors. It's easily the most difficult one that Hercules has been looking at yet. These were originally a wedding present from Zeus or Jupiter to Hera. They're kept in a garden at the northern edge of the world, guarded by the Hesperides, who are daughters of the Titan Atlas. Or more like tended. They're the ones who make sure that they keep growing. The guard is a fire-breathing dragon named Ladon. The problem with this is that literally no one knows where the Hesperides actually are. No mortal, at least. Presumably the gods and the Hesperides know. So Hercules has been basically told to go somewhere that no mortal's ever actually seen, retrieve something that no mortal's ever actually touched. He prays, he goes to oracles, he looks for help. But basically all he really can come to is this idea that it's Atlas is possibly the connection here. You see, Atlas is a Titan. And like most of the Titans, he had fought against Zeus or Jupiter in the Titanomachy, the War of the Titans. All of these Titans who lost this war, considering the Olympians are still in control, were punished in some creative, interesting, and extremely cruel way. Atlas, very famously, is holding the sky up in ancient Greek mythology. Nowadays that we know that the Earth is round, that we know that it's a sphere-ish, science teachers, please don't get mad at me. This is harder for us to wrap our heads around, but for the Greeks, the sky was just up there and Atlas was holding it away from the Earth. This is why nowadays a lot of modern representations of Atlas have him holding a sphere, or sometimes it's the Earth itself, without really showing what he's standing on. But as far as the Greeks are concerned, he stands on the ground, he holds the sky up, and that's his punishment forever. The thing is, when Jupiter devised these punishments, there's always a loophole to it. He thought that the punishment was worse if there was a hope that you could actually get out of it. And so the only way that any Titan could ever be relieved of their punishment is if someone willingly takes that punishment on their shoulders instead. Hercules has no idea how to get to the Hesperides. He has no idea how he would defeat a huge fire-breathing dragon. He only knows that this connection to Atlas is something that maybe he might be able to do. And the Atlas Mountains were a real thing in ancient Greek geography. They're up in the western part of North Africa. The Atlantic Ocean is actually named after, Atlas and the Atlas Mountains because they're farther west than that. And there's a very Greek-centric viewpoint when they got named. On the way, Hercules encounters a giant named Antaeus. This is one of those great images from Greek mythology. Antaeus blocks Hercules' path, and he challenges all comers to a wrestling match. Says, you don't get to go through unless you beat me at wrestling. The trick is, Antaeus is a son of Gaia, so he is invincible whenever he's touching the ground. If you know anything about Greco-Roman wrestling, the main objective is to throw your opponent to the ground, and he's invincible whenever he's touching it. So Hercules wrestles and tangles with the guy for a while before realizing exactly what happens. In some version, Antaeus brags about it. And Hercules lifts the guy off the ground and crushes him in a bear hug. In some versions, Antaeus submits. In some versions, Hercules realizes that Antaeus has been killing his opponents and then rids the world of this terrible monster by killing him and crushing him to death in the bear hug. In any case, Hercules defeats Antaeus and climbs these mountains and finds his way up to Atlas himself. The thing is, a couple of generations ago, another hero showed Atlas the face of Medusa and turned him into this enormous piece of stone, this mountain. And the thing is, Titans can recover from anything. So it's been a few generations since that happened. And Atlas is mostly recovered from having been turned into a mountain. He still looks really craggy. He seems to be thinking and moving kind of slower than he usually was. But Hercules offers Atlas a deal. Says, I'm on a quest from the gods. I need to get the golden apples of the Hesperides. I have no idea how to get them, but I know it's your daughters who are tending them. I'll hold the sky up in your place and give you a few days off if you go and retrieve these apples, and you can even go visit your family. Atlas accepts, and Hercules gets himself ready, presumably stretches a little bit, and takes the sky from Atlas's shoulders, and immediately regrets the decision. It is an enormous weight on him. And Atlas tells him, even with the way Atlas travels, it's probably going to be about 2 or 3 days before he gets back with the apples. Hercules can't really go anywhere, so he agrees, and Atlas sets off. Within a few minutes, everything is on Hercules' shoulders, and he is sweating, he is hurting, and 3 whole days go by. Everything hurts by the time Atlas comes back with the apples, and he does. He actually returns to Hercules. But the thing is, when Atlas gets back, he is starting to reconsider. He says, there's not really a lot stopping me from putting the apples at your feet and walking off somewhere and leaving you holding the sky so I never have to deal with this punishment again. Hercules thinks fast and comes up with a plan that's actually kind of lame. He says, wait, no, come on, please don't. Listen, I brought like a mat, like a towel. Do you see it down there? And he points down at the ground. And yeah, there's a little mat there. He says, I'd meant to put this on like the back of my neck and my shoulders. And there's like a piece of the sky that's like really digging in there. And I just don't want to have to spend all of eternity without like this mat to help out a little bit holding the sky up. Can you take it just for a second while I get the mat? And Atlas goes, oh, yeah, sure. And takes the earth back up. And Hercules grabs the apples and runs. Now, this is not Hercules' finest hour. This is not the most clever thing he's ever done by a long shot. But it works. And so I ask my students all the time, why does Atlas fall for it? There's a couple of ways that people usually go, a couple stock answers. Some people always point out, Atlas was still recovering from being turned into stone. He wasn't thinking really well. Maybe he was easy to trick. Some people don't like the idea of Atlas betraying Hercules, who offered him a square deal, offered him a chance to see his family again, and then him backing out on it. Considering that Hercules had made this deal in good faith and given him a chance to see his daughters again, maybe Atlas would have felt bad doing it. Still others point out that if Hercules fails, if Hercules can't hold the sky up forever, and it falls, Atlas probably isn't going to be doing too hot either. So for whatever reason, Atlas takes the sky back up. Hercules flees away with the apples, presumably sleeps it off for a couple of good days before making his way all the way back, and returns to Eurystheus with the apples, completely surprising him. And it's because of this that the last labor is really, really something, which we will see in the next video. Take care.